Hello everyone, welcome back again for our subject computer organization and architecture. Today we are going to see about instruction hazards in pipelining. Okay, so in the previous topic we have seen about data hazards. Okay, so hazards are nothing but stalls in the pipeline due to delay of fetching the data, that is said to be data hazard. Then instruction hazard in the sense if there is a delay in fetching the instruction, and that introduces stall. And we have seen about structural hazard. It means more than two stages are in need of acquiring the same hardware resource. So that situation we have seen about structural hazard. So in detail about instruction hazard we are going to see it. Okay, so in the previous topic we have covered about cache miss. When the instruction is missed in the cache, then definitely that instruction will reside in the main memory and that has to be fetched. And we have seen mainly fetching the instruction from the memory or writing instruction to the memory will take a bit long time when compared to the processor calculations, is it not? So that we have covered already about the cache miss. And so we are going to cover in detail about branching. So branching will also introduce slots, introduce stalls. So it means branch after evaluating the branch instruction, then the pipeline will get to know the right instructions to be executed. So before that itself the pipeline will overlap the other instruction. So before calculating the target address of the branch, and there introduces the stalls. So we are going to see how to minimize those stalls. Okay, so in unconditional branching and conditional branching also. Okay. So let's have a timing diagram for unconditional branches. So here there are three instructions. It is in a two-stage pipeline. Why I am saying it's a two-stage pipeline? Because it has only two stages like fetch and execute. That's it. Okay. So for simplicity, we are taking the two-stage pipeline. Instruction 1 executes smoothly at cycle 1 and 2. There is no issue. And look at here, when the instruction 2 happens to be of a branch instruction. Okay. So what's happening? Instruction 2 is fetched at clock cycle 2 and it is executed in clock cycle 3. So only after executing this instruction at clock cycle 3, it happens so that the target address is IK. Okay, so the target address is IK. So what's happening before while executing this instruction 2 at clock cycle 3, instruction 3 happens to be fetched, is it not? That is the concept of pipelining, is it not? So here this instruction 3 is fetched parallelly at clock cycle 3, and at the end only it gets to know this instruction has to be discarded because the right instruction to execute after this I2 is IK. So there it introduced the stalls. Okay, and it proceeds by executing instruction IK plus 1, IK plus 2, etc. Okay, so this is the situation why stalls are introduced in the branching. Okay, and we will see how to avoid this branching also. Okay, so this is one stall introduced, one stall introduced. Stall in the sense an idle stage at a particular pipeline stage. Okay, so here it is an execution stage. This doesn't executed, is it not? That is said to be a stall. Okay, so this is for the two-stage pipeline, and here is an example for four-stage pipeline. Okay, so when the when the number of stages are increased, and the stalls will also get increased. Okay, let's see how the number of stages let's see how the stalls are increased when the pipeline stages are here in this example 4. So let's see, branch instruction happens to be at I2. So while executing this I2, see here two instructions I3 and I4 are fetched, is it not? So I3 is in decode stage and I4 is in fetch state at cycle number clock cycle 4. So what's happened after this execution? It happens so that the target address is IK, so not this I3 and I4. So what's happening? Two slots are two stalls happened. Okay, so because of a 4-stage pipeline. And some terms you need to get to know. So branch penalty, it means the time lost due to branch instruction. This will be saying as a branch penalty instead of simply saying as a stall, because this stall happens because of this branch instruction. So that's what we are saying, that as a branch penalty. And somehow we need to reduce the branch penalty, is it not? So one way is reducing the branch penalty is to introduce a sophisticated hardware at the decoding stage. Okay, so see here the same instruction is executed here with a specially designed hardware. Okay, so that is nothing but the decode. Here we are assuming that the decoder it not only decodes the instruction but also it predicts the branch instruction. If it happens so that prediction, so we could avoid this penalty. So and of course we could not avoid the penalty 100%, somewhat we could avoid it. So the previous instruction execution without additional hardware like a decoder which predicts the target instruction. So here the decoder doesn't predict the target instruction, only at the execution state the decoder predicts it. So that's what we had, the two stalls happened. Okay, so here we are making additional changes in the hardware of the decoder, so that the decoder will predict the branch instruction here itself instead of in the execution state. So while decoding it, only I3 gets fetched. Okay, and it happens so after this decoding, the branch instruction this IK has to be executed instead of I3. So there comes the one stall. Okay, so this is one way of reducing the penalty. So here it says it's reducing the penalty. We cannot completely elevate the penalty, somehow we could reduce it. So instead of having two slots, two stalls, here one stall because of hardware change in the decoder. Okay, this is one way of reducing the branch penalty, and there are other ways. Okay, so to reduce the branch penalty, so what that is, so instruction queue and prefetching. So from the term itself you could get instruction queue and prefetching means, so before the requirement of the instruction we are fetching it. So we are fetching it and storing that instructions in the queue, so that the cases like cache miss won't happen, is it not? So we are keeping the instruction in ready. Okay, so in a specialized queue called as instruction queue. So see here the hardware arrangement is changed to accommodate this instruction queue. So what's the logic behind is, so in the instruction stage, instruction is fetched and it is designed somewhat with sophisticated hardware, so that it will store the fetched instructions in a specialized queue. Okay, so queue has some storage capacity, and whatever the instruction fetched is directly moved to the queue, and there is a modification in the decode stage. So along with the decoding there is a dispatch unit. Okay, what the dispatch unit will do is it will take the instruction from the queue instead of from the fetch. So it takes it from the queue and it is given for decoding. So what's the advantage when there is when without this implementation, when there is a cache miss, means that has to be fetched from the memory. But here what's happening, the instruction, the fetch instruction keeps on fetching the instruction till the queue is is full. Okay, so queue has of some size and it keeps on fetching and putting it in the instruction, and it has the other capability, like if the instruction fetch happens to be of a branch, means so it will also predict the target address. So once the target address for the instruction is known, means we could avoid the delays of we could avoid stalls in the pipeline. So that's the logic for introducing this instruction queue, okay, and prefetching the instruction, so that cache miss won't happen. And of course because of prefetching the instruction unit, apart from fetching the instruction, it will also check whether the instruction is branching, and if so, it will calculate the target address. Okay, so if the target address is known earlier, means we could avoid the stalls in pipeline. So that's the logic behind that, and the remaining stages goes as usual. Okay, so I think we have covered all those, this execution state and write state and intermediate buffers are there. Okay, so when we arrange the execution something like this, means we could execute even the branch instruction concurrently without which is similar to that of executing the other instructions without any delays. So that we are saying as a branch folding. So branch folding is executing the branch instruction similar to that of other instructions concurrently. So slots stalls won't happen. Okay, so because we are predicting it already, the target address of the instruction. And moving on to conditional branching, and of course conditional branch will also introduce delays, stalls. And here the decision to branch cannot be made until the execution of the instruction, is it not? So that happens in unconditional branching also. Only after the branch instruction gets executed, then we will get to know the target instruction, is it not? So branch instructions represent almost 20% of the dynamic instruction count of most programs. So what does it mean? Of course, a program, we cannot write a program by completely elevating branch, is it not? So always the programs may have branch instruction, and it happens based on the value the branch may be executed or may not be executed based on the conditions, is it not? So here almost in an average, it says that most programs will occupy 20% of branch instruction. Okay, that too of dynamic instruction. What that dynamic instruction count is nothing but number of instruction execution along with taking into account of the loop instructions. So suppose if our program is of 10 lines, and inside the 10 lines, if we have two statements as loop, and this two statement is and this two statement happens to execute two times, is it not? If it happens to execute two times, means then totally not 10 lines, 14 lines has to be executed, is it not? 14 instructions has to be executed. So that we are saying as an dynamic count. Okay, so while at runtime, the number of instruction execution gets varied. So taking into account of this number, 20% of programs may fall into branch instructions, and it may due to this 20% of branching, the stalls may happen, and that will delay the execution speed, and those 20% of delay has to be handled in somehow to further what to say, to not to reduce the slot delays. Okay, So there are two different ways we are going to see. One is delayed branch execution and branch prediction. Okay, so delayed branch, from the name itself you could get, see that. So delayed branch in the sense, once the branch instruction once after executing the branch instruction, the immediate instruction execution will be discarded, is it not? So somehow then it introduces an stall. That stall can be utilized by reordering the instructions by a sophisticated compiler technique. We could utilize that stall. Okay, so while dealing with the delayed branch, we need to get to know that the term branch delay slot, it's nothing but instruction following the branch instruction is said to be the branch delay slot. So branch delay slot is nothing but instruction below that branch instruction. Okay, so why we are saying? Because I'll take you the example, previous example. Here branch instruction is I2 and I3, there comes this slot because of this branch. So the correct instruction has to be executed is IK, and I3 is fetched and decoded in this stage, and it introduced the stall, which we are saying as a delay slot. Okay, here the new term is introduced, branch delay slot, and it needs to be discarded. So instead of discarding, we need to somehow execute this instruction so that the performance is improved. So that's the concept here when dealing about delayed branch. So what it says, the instructions in the delay slot. So delay slot is nothing but the instruction immediately after the branch instruction is said to be said to have the delay. So it means it will produce the stall that we are saying as a delay slot. Okay, so that instruction is fetched and therefore arrange for some somehow to fully execute that instruction whether or not the branch is taken. Okay, so it means the instruction below the branch instruction has to be executed whether the branch has been taken or not, so that we could delay the execution of branch by one slot and without affecting the output. If we reorder somehow, means we can avoid that, we can utilize that slot. Okay, delay slot, and we could achieve no stall concept because of this delayed branch. So that's the objective of this delayed branch. Okay, I will take you to the little coding that will make you clear. Okay, see here, this is the actual program has to be run. Here loop label is loop, shift left this register R1 and decrement the register R2 and checking the condition whether the R2 reaches 0 or not. If it reaches 0 means we should not loop it, it should come out of this looping. Otherwise it need to go to execute this two instructions. So what will happen if we don't delay the branch? So it means, so after while we are executing this instruction branch is equal to 0, what will happen in normal execution? This add instruction will be fetched, is it not? So while decoding or while executing this, then only it will come to know this has to be looped further. So this slot is wasted. Instead of it, you rearrange this program, you reorder this instruction somehow so that we could avoid this slot. Okay, so come here to this reorder arrangement of this instruction. So here what we are doing, decrementing the count register R2 and we are checking the condition. Okay, while checking the condition, what will happen? Shift will happen. Anyhow, shift has to happen here, is it not? So while calculating the target address, the shift happens, and and what's the logic here? So if the branch condition is not false, means it needs to again go and decrement it. So it decrements as usual, and there will be no issues. And suppose if the branch condition is false, means so this instruction gets executed. So this instruction, which is reordered, will execute smoothly without any conflict, and delay slots could be avoided. Okay, so I'll take you to the timing diagram that will again further make you clear about this concept, delayed branch. See here, so initially we are decrementing and checking the branch condition. Okay, original program is after decrementing we need to shift is first we need to shift and then decrement. So if we reorder like this, means what will happen? That branch will introduce as a delay, is it not? So that delay could be avoided by reordering the instruction and executing this shift instruction. So shift instruction happens. Okay, and if it runs for two passes or two loop, means so what will happen? While at the second loop, if the branch condition so it means the if this if the decrement, if we need to decrement two times, means at the after executing that second time, the branch will fail, is it not? So it means two times the shift has to happen, is it not? So see here, after executing first pass, and the thing goes for executing the second pass, and at here, so after immediately decrementing the second time, the condition will be true to come out of the loop, is it not? So branch will calculate, and here the loop fails and it needs to fetch the add instruction. So in that case, the shift now the shift is happening, even the condition here is failed and the shift is happening as usual. The shift should happen two times, is it not? The shift is happening and we are utilizing that delay slot because of that shift instruction, and while executing, after this execution, and immediately the next cycle 7, this add instruction gets executed. So because of rearranging the instructions, we could avoid these slots. Okay, so that's the concept of delayed branching. And it won't happen all the time, the reordering won't happen all the time, and we need, of course, a sophisticated hardware design to make effectiveness of reordering. Okay, so this is not always 100% possible. Reordering will happen only for certain instructions and not always. Okay, and coming on to another technique of predicting the branch, so that we could avoid the delay, or even if the delay happens, that delay slot can be utilized by reordering the instructions. Okay, the another way is branch prediction. So prediction in the sense, so in advance we need to predict it, and of course prediction will go sometimes wrong and sometimes correct, is it not? It's a prediction. So prediction means it won't guarantee all the time the predicted value is correct. It's simply the guess. Okay, and see here what's happening. That prediction we are saying as a speculation. Okay, speculation. So let's come to the first point. To predict whether or not a particular branch will be taken. So that's the prediction. The simplest form is assume branch will not take place and continue to fetch the instruction in sequential order. This is said to be a simple prediction. Okay, so there is a branch in our program, but we are predicting that that branch will never happen. So that is one kind of prediction, and we could predict that if there is a branch in the program, it will always the branch will always satisfy the condition true. So that is also one way of prediction. And what will happen if the prediction goes wrong means the instruction keeps on executing, the next instruction will be fetched, decoded, and it goes on as usual manner, is it not? So while doing so, the thing we need to make a note is the instruction. So before confirming the branch target address, the next instruction fetched and decoded has should not store its result in the processor or the register. Those are the speculative execution, and it has to wait until the branch instruction gives the right target address, whether the executed instruction is right or wrong. Okay, so that's what there comes the concept called speculation in execution. It means the instructions are executed before the processor is confirming that the execution is correct. Okay, so once if the once if the prediction is right, this speculation execution will go and update its output in the processor or somewhere else. Until then it should not do any updations. So that's the concept of speculation execution. Okay, so need to be careful so that no processor registers or memory locations are updated until the branch address is confirmed. Okay, so so while on speculative execution, because we may not know that speculation execution is right or wrong, so only after getting to know the branch result we will know the speculation is right. If it is right means then only it is allowed to do some update in the processor and the memory. Otherwise, of course, they are introduced a delay slot. Okay, so all those things have 50-50 gain. Okay, it is not always true that our predicted value will be right. If it goes wrong means definitely there comes degradation in pipelining by having stalls. Okay, and incorrectly predicted branch example prediction, as I told you. So here the instruction 1 comparison is taking place, and based on that result the branching will happen. So that compared value is used here in the branching. And suppose if we are predicting that at stage at cycle 3, so during the decoding, and we are predicting that prediction goes on fetching this instruction 3 and 4. And see here, if this instruction I2 depends on I1 value, so I1 value will be available only after cycle 3. So its output is fast, forwarded. Okay, so we have seen operand forwarding, right? So after forwarding this output to the instruction 2, then there comes to know the instruction, the predicted branch is wrong. Okay, so what happens, this 2 instruction is already in the pipeline, and there comes the delay. Okay, there comes this stall. If our prediction goes wrong, definitely the performance of pipelining is degraded. Okay, there is no other go to improve its performance. So if the prediction goes wrong, it's always a 50-50 chance. And the thing which we have seen already, by assuming that branch will always take place and branch will never take place, okay, this kind of prediction we are saying as a static branch prediction. So it's fixed. We are assuming when our program has a branch instruction, we are predicting that branch instruction will always happen, or we are predicting that branch instruction will never happen. So this is kind of static. So, and one more way is dynamic prediction. So dynamic prediction means, so the prediction will change. Okay, so it will won't give the answer as always or never. Always or never are said to be static. So dynamic prediction means, so we will be predicting that branch will happen, but what happens while executing? If branch happens means, then we are changing our prediction to branch will happen. That's the concept of dynamic branch prediction. So one way of implementing that dynamic branch prediction is bit implementation. So using one bit we are going to change our predictions, assuming that one bit is used here. See here, we are representing by means of variable b. So b is equal to 0, b is equal to 1. So this bit it takes only one value, either 0 or 1. Okay, so 0 means we are assuming that the branch will not take place, and 1 means we are assuming the branch will take place. So while executing our program, if we predict that branch instruction won't happen, means that bit value is set to be 1. So if that b variable, that bit is set to 0. So if b is set to 0, it means that we are predicting the branch will not take place, and we keep on executing the next instruction. That's the meaning. Okay. And suppose if that predicted instruction is if the predicted instruction happens to be real while running the program, so then we are lucky that branch our predicted thing is right. Okay, so the branch will not happen. But what happen if our prediction goes wrong? So if our prediction goes wrong, means then later we will change our mind to have branch will take place, and we will be moving from setting the value b1 b is equal to 0 to b is equal to 1. Okay, so if our prediction goes wrong, means we are changing the bit value, meaning that the next time the branch will happen. That's the meaning. So for example, take the looping. Okay, so looping, it takes 3 statements, and suppose if it takes 2 times to execute. Initially we are saying this is the branch instruction. Okay, so branch instruction has 3, we are assuming 3 statements are there. Initially while executing this branch, we are saying prediction, we are saying that the branch instruction fails. Okay, so it means it won't go into the branch instruction. Okay, so instead it will keep on see here. So suppose this is said to be the branch instruction. Okay, so and once if branch instruction is set to true, means it has to jump to this target address. And if we say the branch instruction is false, means this instruction gets executed, this one gets executed. But what happens while executing at real time this instruction, if branching is happen, but our prediction b is equal to 0, so it means our prediction is wrong, is it not? So there comes one delay in our delay slot will happen. So after that, if the target address happens to here, means we will be changing the bit to 1, it means the branching will happen. Okay, and see here, after executing this third line, what will happen? So the branch will execute 2 times, because we are discussing about conditional branching, and we say 2 times this 3 statements gets executed. So now only 1 time is executed. Now it will be now we need to execute 1 more time, and we say that since our predicted bit b is equal to 1, it means what? The branch will take place. Yes, still 1 more time it needs to execute, and the prediction is right, is it not? Yes, now our prediction goes successful, and it has predicted the right instruction to execute, and slots delay slots won't be introduced. And after that, what will happen? While after executing the 2 times, our prediction goes wrong. So in that situation, we will be changing our prediction to be 0 instead of 1. Okay, so this is the concept behind dynamic branch prediction, and just I gave an overview of that. So hardware implementation is not yet shown, just the concept behind that branch prediction is given here. Okay, and so with that, our instruction hazard is over. Okay, so based on the topics we have discussed, I have given one gate question. it's quite interested, and you have to give more concentration to this question to get know the solution. So see here, 4 instructions are there, and after that 4 instructions, branch instruction happens, and the question says the following code is run on a pipeline processor with 1 delay slot. 1 delay slot means that happens only in branching. So because of this instruction, there is 1 delay slot, and the question is which of the instruction can legitimately occupy that delay slot, so that we could utilize that delay slot without modifying this program execution. Okay, so the question is, if we bring I4 here, whether the output gets changed because of that, or if we bring instead of I4, if we bring I3 here, so whether we could utilize the delay slot properly and there will be no change in the program execution. So that's the question. So see here, I will give you one explanation for bringing this I1 here instead of I3 or I4. So if I bring this, so definitely because of this branch, there is 1 slot. That slot we have to use it efficiently. So what happens if I bring and execute this I1 in this slot? Okay, so what's happening? So R7 and R8 is added, and R2 result I will have it only only here. So R2 result I will get it here. But instruction 2 goes smoothly. Instruction 3, see here, instruction 3 is data dependent on instruction 1, is it not? But R2's value I will get only at here. So it means what, bringing I1 over here will have a program modification. And likewise you have to calculate whether you could bring I2, I3 or I4. Okay, if one of these 3, if you bring it down, whether without any modification, you can utilize that delay slot. So that's the question, and I hope you could answer it with this input what I have given, and I'll meet you in the next topic. Till then, thank you all.